Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So we have a special guest today, my mommy. So today is June 1st. It's Pride Month, so I thought it would be a great topic to talk about when my mom is here, about like my coming out story and my experience. So do you have anything you want to say before we get started?
Hey everybody, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see a new day, celebrate a new month, and happy Pride Month to all that participate in the community.
The LGBTQ plus community.
The LGBTQ plus community.
Yes. So, where it started was Olivia and I met and we began dating, and she was kind of like a hidden secret. So, I was.
We call her a secret though.
You want to call her a secret?
I don't know if we call her a hidden secret.
Okay, well I guess we'll get there. So I had been with a male previous in all my life. I've had boyfriends, but I've never had a girlfriend or experience with women before. And so I didn't previous to Olivia either. And so when Olivia and I met, we were mutually just friends and co-workers. And then when my last relationship ended, she shot her shot and let me know she was interested. And I was just kind of like, you know, I've never experienced with a woman. I've never dated a woman. Like, I don't even know how that works. And I was really, really ignorant of like roles, because I'm like, who's a man, who's a woman? Just like very ignorant things that were in my mind looking back on it. Like, okay, who wears the pants in a relationship? How does that work? I've had a household. Like, I've always wanted to be a wife and a mom. So I'm like, how does that work? And so we just had very open, candid conversations about, like, she wanted very, 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 I'm not going to say 100%, but like 95 to 98% shared ideals. So she wanted the same things, but she had previous relationships and experiences with women, so she had already dealt with these things and did research about it. So when we had those candid conversations and talked just about everything up front, so we talked about, even before we were engaged, we talked about finances, you know, intimacy, marriage, children, raising children, parenting styles. What does marriage mean to you? Is divorce an option for you or not? We just talked about every single thing up front, so we knew where each other stood, because I was in a space of, I was with somebody previously that I thought that was going to be like my end all be all, and I didn't like him. Marriage and children, that's what I thought my future was going to be tied to. So when that didn't happen, I still was in the mindset of, I know I want to be married, because I just finished college, so I knew I wanted to be married and start a family. And she also had her time to herself and dated and just had herself a good time as well. And so we were both in the space of, we wanted children and marriage. And so we began dating in March, and our first trip was to New York, which was in June it was Pride Month in June, and also the Puerto Rican Day Parade. I had never been, and I just kind of mentioned it to her in casual conversation. And she was like, well, we're gonna go then. Like, I'm gonna take you to New York, and we're gonna go to the Pride Parade and the Puerto Rican Day Parade. And we did. And I insert some pictures and videos if I have it. But it was such a good time, so much fun. And I remember her kind of, at that point, kind of like, okay, I kind of want to like know your family. Or I think that might have been like right before. Did you know her by the time we went to New York?
Yeah, because y'all stayed at the house.
No, we didn't come to DC when we went to that time. We went straight to New York. I think I may have
introduced us.
I think I may have like right before. It was very like surface level, but
it was very brief introduction, but nothing, you know, in depth. This is my girlfriend, this is my, no gender roles were assigned, no relationship roles were defined at that point, at least to me.
So I remember her kind of like, okay, like, you speak so highly of your family, like you're so close with your family, like I want to meet this family you're talking about.
Because we talk 20 times a day.
Yeah, like, she doesn't live here in Alabama. She lives in the outskirts of DC, and so I talk to her all the time. She's not visiting Now she visits a lot more, of course, because of the baby. She's a grandma now. So she wants to, have that virtual relationship, but also she still wants to have time with her granddaughter. So she visits a lot more.
That's my sunshine. That is my everything. That is my reason for living, my Nala beans.
So she, we just talk all the time, like all the time. So she would be in present, but she'd be like off to the side or whatever. But like my mom, when I see her, and we don't talk like on the phone, we talk on FaceTime. So like she just wouldn't see Olivia, but like Olivia's like sitting right next to me. So it kind of started making her feel like, like a secret, because she's like, why can't I talk to your mom or meet your mom? Like, you speak so highly of her. Like, I feel kind of like hidden, or like you are ashamed of me. And for a large, like, for quite a while I did, because in our family, we grew up going to church, and not just like our immediate family, like with my parents, but also like her parents, and the way she, like, my mom's whole side.
Our entire familial dynamic was traditional. It was never outside the box with anything or anyone. It was always a very traditional family, and to this day we remain a traditional family.
I wouldn't say that.
Why would you say that?
I wouldn't say that, because we are traditional in some senses, but everybody is not straight in our family.
That's true.
Our family has addiction issues, that's drugs, alcohol, street life. So like, we have traditional foundations, I'll say.
That's true.
But our family is not traditional. So, but
well, we grew up. I'm a native Alabamian, so we grew up with those native Southern tendencies and traditions that all Southern families, 50s, 60s, 70s, grew up with. So traditional things were the norm for us. So we didn't know outside the box. So we had to come to learn there are things outside of the sphere of the traditional Alabama things.
But question though, like when you were in school, there was like, you didn't know anybody that was like gay or LGBTQ plus, like you didn't know anybody like that, or was it just not talked about?
It just wasn't talked about. I think we did know some people that, looking back, we knew some people that were gay. They're gay to this day, and we knew it growing up, but that just wasn't a topic in the 60s and 70s that was talked about, and that was as open as it is now, especially in the Black community. No, that wasn't a talked about something.
Yeah. So, like she said, she's from Mobile. I won't say like the exact city, but Mobile, Alabama is where she's from. Like my mom's whole side, and I still have family there now. It's a small town inside of Mobile that they grew up in, that everybody kind of grew up in. But it's still, like I said, traditional foundations and roots. But I think our family dynamic has kind of evolved, and I think some people in our family,
well, it's kind of. It wasn't a natural evolution. It was kind of a forced evolution. When I say forced evolution, I mean in terms of you have to accept whomever's, whatever your lifestyle is, as long as it's not an illegal or extreme lifestyle. But to be in that person's life, you have to say that's your life. You live your life, but I'm going to love you as a person.
But I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think that, and it's like been said recently, and I've experienced since introducing Olivia, and then us getting engaged and us getting married, to where it is a difference between accepting somebody and tolerating somebody. Because if you accept somebody, like you said, as long as you're not like being out like harming people or children or committing crimes, if you accept somebody,
you accept everything that comes with their life.
Because I was about to say a name, but like one of my cousins, like they are gay, and it's like, okay, if I accept you, it's like open arms. Like, I'm not judging you.
But then I'm gonna have to disagree on that one, because sometimes that said cousin could be an a-hole. So outside of
I'm saying, like, that's like, I think all of us can be an a-hole, like
not me.
Anybody.
I'm an angel all the time.
Okay, like let her. Okay, but I think like that's different. That's just like personality stuff.
But that's also wrapped around. It's easy to convolute that and say you don't like me because I'm gay. Well, it's not that I don't like you because you're gay. I
But
don't
I
like you
also
because
think
you're
that-
an a-hole. That's why I don't, you know what I'm saying? And I love this person dearly, I do. But I'm saying sometimes they can act a little extra. And that extra can oftentimes get wrapped around, you don't like me because I'm gay. No, I don't like you because of the BS you just did. Or I don't like, it's not that I don't like you, it's just I don't agree with the BS you did. We can't cloak it under something else. Call the thing a thing. Your behavior wasn't acceptable.
Well, I think behavior traits and sexuality sometimes, like you said, can be intermingled. But I'm just saying of like, you don't have an issue with that person because of their sexuality. You have an issue with the personality
and the behaviors of that person.
But it's not like, well, like I'm tolerating you, so it's like, okay, I have to be around you. We're in a shared space. Like I have to talk to you, or I have to be cordial. Like there's a difference between like accepting somebody and then I'm just tolerating you because we're family members and I have to be in your space. There's a difference, and I think that I've realized.
But that could be
even
said
this past weekend.
That could be said for work environments too. There are plenty of people that I work with that outside of work, I don't say anything to because we have nothing in common. I don't like you at work, so I know I won't like you outside of work.
Well, that's a fact, and I think in the workplace it's completely different, and it's a lot of that. It's not almost 100% of that at the workplace.
Not 100% because there are people I work with that I have had outside relationships with. I mean, you know what I'm saying, friends that we've done stuff together outside of work.
Well, but I'm talking about this in the sense of like your loved ones. That is different.
I think
that your loved ones or people that run in your circle that you were close with that then come out and say, hey, I identify as X, Y, and Z. Are you tolerating me or are you accepting me and loving me? Because there's difference. Because I've experienced that even, or I've experienced it in the past looking back after this weekend, but I think even this weekend with us, we just came back yesterday, you guys, from a weekend with our family, which I may post pictures of it. Some of them, their faces would be blurred out because I didn't get permission. But people of, and I was made aware of like certain comments that were made of like, well, you and your wife don't come to certain things because what type of example is that setting for my smaller children? Or, you know, like we happy for you that you had your baby or whatever, but like we ain't rocking with that, you know? And it's like
people have got the right to not rock with and rock with whatever they want to do.
Facts.
Again, I can't tell you how to live your life like you can't tell me how to live my life.
I mean,
but when I call a thing, I know how to react to that thing. I know how to deal with that thing. Like my grandmama used to say, when you find out how people are, you feed them out a long-handled spoon.
I mean, that's a fact, but it's just different when you didn't know you were being tolerated. And that's something I want to bring to whoever watches this video. If you're a member of the LGBTQ community, ask yourself and really analyze the people around you in your circle, whether that's friends, family, whatever. Are you being tolerated or are you loved and accepted? There's two different things. And that person and that couple or whatever, it just was a little bit challenging because it's like I didn't know at the time I was being tolerated.
It's more jarring than challenging. I would say it was a jarring something.
No, it's challenging because in my head, I'm like, it's challenging for me to wrap my head around that, like, I've been around this family for my entire life. I have been invited to things and just been in the same space a lot with these people. And so it's challenging for me to wrap my head around that this whole time I thought that my family, Olivia and Nala, were being accepted and loved, only to find out that they're being tolerated. And that is not a space that I want to operate in. If you don't love me and you don't accept me, just like anybody in my family or friends or a circle, I'm not always going to accept what you do or the decisions that you make, but I have to accept them and still love you. Like, I don't always agree with the decisions that you make. I didn't want you.
She agrees with none of my decisions.
Like when we wanted you to stay here, you were like, well, I'm leaving to go to DC to pursue this job. I still had to love and accept her for the decision that she made. Although,
but that's a different dynamic because I mean,
it's finances and a job.
No, I'm just saying it's a different dynamic because at that time you and your sister were grown up and gone.
I mean, I get it, but I'm just using it as an example.
I'm in a space where it's just me now, and I have to do people have to make the decisions that work for them and their families.
I mean, facts, but I'm just using it as a relative example of like.
No, I'm saying
not
the
specific.
family that we're talking about.
No, I know, but I'm
they
saying
have to make, if there's a certain
but
there's a certain perception,
point,
there's a certain way you want people to see you and love you and the way you live your life. I'm rocking with it.
I get that, but then there's also of if you don't love and accept me, then don't treat me and be around me and my wife and child like you accept me. You know what I mean? It's like if you are just tolerating
don't
me,
be fake.
Tolerate me from afar. You know what I mean? Don't like be all up in our face and talking and like I'm thinking that like we rocking, like we like to me, myself and those people, I'm like we solid, like we like this, like those are my people.
I mean, but can you not have different ideals?
It can have different.
Solid.
For me, no, I don't operate in that space because that's to me being very fake and kind of two-faced. Because you don't really genuinely care and accept my family. You just tolerate us and like, okay, we in the same space, like we gotta talk to you right here, right now.
I think that.
Hey, over there, hey.
I don't think that's the case. I think the whole gay and lesbian community makes some people nervous. So when it makes some people,
but like, what are you nervous about? And like that's y'all. Okay, so hold on before we go down that road, because these are conversations that we just for the point of this video. So when I told you, I remember saying to my mom, I was like, oh, at that point, Olivia felt just really hidden. So I told my mom, I said, Mom, she was like asking like, are you dating or whatever?
Because I always wanted to know. We always kind of talked about dating people, and because her father and I divorced 15 years ago. So in 15 years, you can count on one hand the number of people that my children have met. I just don't believe in introducing a bunch of people in and out of children's lives, because that's not how that's supposed to work. So we always had discussions on, okay, who you dating? What you got going on? She's a beautiful girl, and I know she had broken up with her boyfriend. So I was, okay, who you dating? And we talk a million times a day. Who you dating? What you doing? And so it just kind of got, well, I'm dating.
And she was like, are you dating or whatever? And I was always kind of like vague or whatever. And I was like, I'm kind of like focusing on myself or whatever. And then she kept asking. I think she knew I was like lying or whatever. And so she was like, I really wasn't lying. I just, it was lying by omission. So I guess I was. And so I was just
and I don't know, why did you feel, because growing up?
I remember, y'all, I didn't tell her, I know she's going to ask, because I remember certain people in my family were like homophobic. And so.
Not me.
But I didn't know that, and so I'm like, well, you're like related to that person, like that person is your sibling.
But did we always not grow up? Did I not tell you all growing up that all the time you could talk to me about anything?
I mean, but this topic is so.
But
the topic though, in cultures of color, is very taboo.
But I'm not the traditional person of color, because when I hit 20 years old, I knew that there was more to life than my small town. So I said, okay, I gotta go. I gotta see what's out there. So it's not like I didn't know anything about gay and lesbian relationships or homosexual relationships. I was in the United States Army for 22 years. So it's not like I hadn't dealt with people from all walks of life.
I mean, and we had grown up like meeting like your soldiers and different people that you associated with that were in the LGBTQ plus community, but it was just something about
and they were solid to me because I didn't judge them on their personal relationships. We worked together, we were soldiers together. So what you do outside of soldiering, not my business. When you came to the business of soldiering,
I think it's different because like everybody doesn't associate it like that, because a lot of people put the two together and they don't disassociate. You're still like a soldier, like this is your profession, and then like your personal life is separate. Most people tie them together, so they're like, the person is just like a gay person, they're like, the person is just like gay, and you're like, that's not just all of who I am. Like, okay, if you're heterosexual and like you get married to like a man, people don't just like say, oh, that's like that heterosexual woman.
That's
but
true.
they identify people of like, that's that lesbian or that bisexual girl or that gay guy, and they put that label before anything else. You could be a surgeon, a doctor, a real estate, the most like top 5% real estate agent. You could be the highest peak or person in your profession, but they still degrade you to like, that's that gay or that's a lesbian person. So when I thought about like at the time, my grandmother and my great grandmother were still alive. Mm-hmm. My dad's mom had just passed away, so she never got to meet Olivia, unfortunately.
She's a wonderful woman. I love her.
One of the best angels on earth. I miss her so much. And so I just had her mom and her grandmother. And so I'm like,
saying that traditional African American women,
like Southern,
growing up in the 30s. My grandmother was born in 1917.
A Bible thumper, like, you know,
grew up, and we were in church 5-6 days a week. We were at church.
Yeah.
So that, you know, those were things that we didn't know.
But
I don't understand
Grandma, towards the end of her life, though, she became a little bit more progressive.
She did, because she had no choice, because when she lived with me,
right,
we were just not in it. We're not just going we're not going to think black and white. There are so many shades of gray.
Yeah.
So we don't just think black and white. You got to open your mind.
Yeah. So that was a little bit different, but I thought about like my family, God, because I'm a big Christian, a very spiritual like person, so I'm like,
and I hate that term, saying big Christian, because most people that use that term are nowhere Christ-like.
I mean, but like
all.
that's just what I grew up on, that where like I'm a Christian, but like I now say like I'm just a very spiritual person.
We're a faith-based family,
and believed in God, and so I just was like, I don't know, because sometimes like my mom, like, y'all just don't know. She's just sometimes like you just don't know sometimes, like when you say something, like sometimes she'll be cool, and then sometimes you just kind of don't know like what her reaction is.
Sometimes my temperature can range really hot or
and
really
it's like
cold.
0 to 10 that.
But that's part of that whole military PTSD thing.
Okay.
Different subject for a different day.
Well, I think that's a good thing. We should visit one day on the channel. But so it goes from 0 to 10 really quick, and you don't know where it's gonna be. She's gonna fall.
So you know what? I can own that, and I can say I can own that, and I really can say, because of that, okay, I'll own that.
That's big.
I'll own that, because you didn't tell me because you just didn't know what my reaction was.
I thought, you guys, when I told her, I thought I was gonna say mom. I don't call her mom. I call her Sanj.
Never call me mom. When they
Sanj
call me mom,
like,
they want something.
When I say like mommy sometimes or whatever, but like I call her Sanj. That's an abbreviation of her name or whatever. And so I was like, thought I was gonna say like, Sanj, I'm dating a woman, and then I thought she was just gonna like flip her whatever. But when I said, and she asked like, are you dating? I was just like, yeah. And then she was like, oh, who is he? And then I was like, it's not a he. And she was like, and she just kind of got quiet for a second. So I was like, oh, like it's just gonna go to hell from here. Like this is gonna go bad. And then she just was like, okay, so like it's a girl. And I was like, yeah. And Olivia was sitting right next to me. So she said, well, can you tell me about her? And I just turned the camera, and they've like, not looked back since.
Olivia. And I was like, okay, well, how long y'all been together? She's like, maybe a month, couple months. We talk every day.